The arrival of Saint Saturn was no mere landing. It was a horrifying event, a summoning ritual from hell itself, casting a dark shadow over the futuristic island of Egghead. It began not with a sound, but with a chilling silence, an invisible pressure tightening the very air. The top-tier warriors, whether locked in intense combat like Luffy and Kizaru, or on high alert like Zoro and Jinbei, simultaneously froze. Cold sweat beading on their foreheads, their eyes wide with bewilderment. They sensed a wave of haki, or perhaps something even more ancient and terrifying, an omen of death approaching, a ghastly presence, utterly distinct from any foe they had ever faced. The stark contrast was the unawareness of the weaker individuals, further emphasizing the extraordinary nature of this energy. Immediately after, as Saturn's voice resonated, not shouting, but cold, authoritative, echoing across the island. Like an irresistible command, the Pacifista Mark III units, which were slaughtering Marines, abruptly halted in unison. The light in their eyes extinguished. All movement ceased, as if their mechanical souls had just been usurped by a supreme entity through mere thought, instantly nullifying Vegapunk's highest authority right on his home turf. Then, the ground began to tremble. A colossal magic circle, pitch black like a tear leading to the void, emerged from the earth, swallowing the surrounding light. At its center was an inverted pentagram, its sharp points deeply etched and menacing, encircled by flickering luminescent ancient runes, and the number 5 materialized like a mysterious seal of power. From the circle, bolts of pitch black lightning, akin to Conqueror's haki but feeling more malevolent and destructive, lashed out wildly, accompanied by pillars of hellfire, not warm red-orange, but a ghastly black or purple, erupting fiercely, licking the air and emitting a foul stench of sulfur. The scale of the circle was truly monstrous, easily engulfing a vast area. Amidst this chaos, an urgent, panicked announcement echoed from the Marine side. "Saint Saturn is descending!" All officers below the rank of Rear Admiral, you are absolutely forbidden from looking directly at him. The command was not advice, but a warning of instant, horrific death. Vivid proof followed immediately. A young Marine soldier, perhaps driven by instinctual curiosity or disbelief in the warning, glanced up towards the magic circle. Curiosity quickly twisted into utter terror as just an inadvertent glimpse caught the rising entity. Without a tangible attack, without a curse uttered, simply by a look or the terrifying pressure emanating from Saturn, the unfortunate soldier's head exploded like a watermelon, blood and fragments splattering amidst the horrified silence of the onlookers. Amidst that deathly scene, from the epicenter of the magic circle, amidst thick black smoke and unholy light, Saint Saturn slowly emerged, not in his usual elderly guise, but in his fully awakened mythical zone form. His lower half was that of a giant spider, its bony legs sharp as blades, bearing flickering flame patterns, moving gruesomely. The upper half took the form of an Ushioni ox demon from legend, an ox bull head with enormous curved jet black horns, an emotionless face but with blazing red, eyes harboring brutality and ancient wisdom, and a broad bestial nose. Around his neck flowed the dark cloud scarf characteristic of an awakened state, swirling like a living entity. His entire form radiated an overwhelming, ancient, malevolent aura and immeasurable power. Upon landing, he spoke nonchalantly, his voice deep and cold. "The surface world. I can hardly recall the last time I was up here," as if centuries were but a blink of an eye, further amplifying the mystery and terror surrounding one of the world's rulers. Saturn's arrival had transformed Egghead into a stage for hell, signaling a confrontation on an entirely different level. One Piece 1128, developments, Vegapunk group movement, and Sanji's action. Curiosity arose about how the Vega tank moved on the Cloud Road without falling. Vegapunk explained the wheels share the same material as the Cloud Road, providing adhesion, partially made of sea stone. Sanji employed his Lady Detection Radar, a specialized form of observation haki, to locate Bonnie. Despite finding it unscientific, Vegapunk trusted Sanji. Finding the vehicle too slow, Sanji leapt out, rocketing off like an arrow to save Bonnie. Sanji's speed was compared to the moment Garp moved to attack Avalo Pizarro, emphasizing Sanji's incredible velocity, fast enough to be invisible since the Wano arc. Bonnie in danger and rescued by Sanji. While hiding, Bonnie was attacked by Vice Admiral Dahl wielding a conch staff, but managed to dodge. Bonnie used a new move, near-death experience, firing at Marines, plunging them into hallucinations of imminent death, manipulating lifespan. Vice Admiral. Bluegrass, an old woman, appeared riding a pacifista. She possesses the Nori Nori no Mi, ride fruit, paramecia type, allowing her to ride and control anything she mounts, similar to Katakuri's Mochi Mochi. She had seized control of this pacifista, seeing Bluegrass riding a Kuma model. Pacifista left Bonnie stunned, recalling the sight of Kuma being used as a mount by the Celestial Dragons. The pacifista targeted Bonnie, but Sanji arrived just in time, grabbing Bonnie to evade the blast and simultaneously dodging Vice Admiral Dahl's staff swing from behind. This detail highlights Sanji's peak observation haki and exceptional reaction speed. Analysis of Vice Admiral Dahl's devil fruit, possibly a Zoan, Inu Inu no Mi, dog fruit, resembling an otter weasel, species known for tool use, could be a standard or ancient Zoan. However, a Vice Admiral is unlikely to pose a significant challenge to current Sanji. Atlas wanted to turn the vehicle back towards the Fabria phase, having achieved the goals of rescuing Bonnie and regaining control of the pacifistas. Luffy versus Kizaru continued. Scene shifts to the labor phase. Luffy is fine after blocking the laser, grinning broadly. Kizaru is clearly fatigued, panting heavily. Kizaru explicitly showed he didn't want to fight Luffy, only engaging because his mission was obstructed. Kizaru transformed into light, flying off at extreme speed to attack Vegapunk. Luffy also accelerated in pursuit. The arrival of an immense power, Saint J. Garcia Saturn. Everything on the island seemed to freeze. Powerful individuals like Kizaru, Luffy, Zoro, Lucci, and Jinbei all sensed an abnormal and terrifying presence. For the first time, Kizaru displayed outright extreme fear, a stark contrast to his previous demeanor with Luffy. He knew exactly what was coming. Jinbei also showed alarmed astonishment, something unseen even when facing Big Mom. This indicates the approaching presence is even more dreadful than a Yonko. The weaker group, Nami, Usopp, Chopper, sensed nothing. Kizaru remained focused solely on his mission to eliminate Vegapunk, not wishing to harm others, including the Straw Hats, e.g. sparing Usopp earlier. A voice echoed across the island, ordering the pacifistas to halt. The voice enveloped the entire island. The only one capable of this is one of the 5 elders, Saint Saturn, who used a similar method as Atlas to retake control. A massive magic circle, inverted pentagram evoking imagery of Baphomet and demonic. Summoning appeared on the island with black smoke and black lightning. Marines received an urgent broadcast. Saint Saturn is appearing. Ranks below Rear Admiral are forbidden from looking directly under penalty of punishment. The magic circle erupted more violently with fire and lightning. Vegapunk, Sanji, and Frankie looked down in astonishment. Saint Saturn slowly rose from the center of the magic circle in a bizarre form, like a demon emerging from hell. A low-ranking Marine disobeyed, looked and exclaimed, "A monster?" Instantly, the soldier's head exploded merely from Saturn's gaze. Analysis of Saint Saturn's power and form. This is the first clear demonstration of a 5 elders' power after many hints. It confirms Sabo's words about demons and hell referred to their forms and abilities. Saturn's form resembles an awakened mythical zone user. Lower body, a 6-legged spider with swirling patterns characteristic of awakened Zoans like Lucci, Kaku. Upper body head, an ox head with large horns, a large nose, possessing the dark cloud scarf characteristic of awakening around his neck. Power origin, strongly resembles the Ushioni ox demon, a yokai demon spirit from Japanese folklore. Ox head, spider body, brutal, can spit poison. Abilities likely include physical strength, speed, regeneration, Zoan, and potentially poison Ushioni. Prediction: the other 5 elders likely also possess mythical Zoan fruits based on other powerful Japanese yokai. Discussion on Imu. The analyst suggests Imu, if possessing a devil fruit, would also be a mythical Zoan based on Japanese East Asian mythology or an Oda original like Nika, rather than Satan, Shiro, or Lucifer, Western, aligning with Oda's tendency to promote Japanese. Culture.East-West synthesis. Saturn's appearance combining a Western-style magic circle, Baphomet, and a Japanese yokai form is an interesting fusion, intended to maximize the power, authority, and terror of the 5 elders, or Imu, creating a balance against Nika and explaining the world government's 800-year dominance. Absolute authority, the command forbidding looking directly. Only rear admirals and above granted the privilege to look. And the fact that admirals are merely direct subordinates showcase the absolute power of the 5 elders. Humans are like insects, overwhelming. Strength. The manner of arrival and the ability to explode heads with a glance demonstrate power superior to admirals and Yonko, excluding current Luffy. This power has ruled the world for 800 years. The analyst posits that the Gorosei's power, combining 2 cultural mythologies, yokai plus Western demonology, would be significantly stronger than characters based on a single mythology, like Kaido. Only Nika, Oda's creation, or Imu could potentially counter them. Conqueror's Haki. The deliberate selective head explosion is interpreted as a display of high-level Conqueror's Haki, similar to Shanks attacking Ryokugyu from afar or cracking the Moby Dick. Saturn undoubtedly possesses extremely potent Conqueror's Haki. Beige. The line can hardly recall the last time I was up here. Virtually confirms Saturn and the other Gorosei have lived for over 800 years since the Void Century, like Imu. Their need to intervene personally highlights the extreme gravity of the Egghead incident. Luffy versus Kizaru. Conclusion: Sanji sensed Kizaru aiming at the Vega tank again. Kizaru missed the vehicle but destroyed the Cloud Road, causing the tank to fall towards the factory level where Saturn stood. Kizaru attempted pursuit but was intercepted by Luffy. Luffy was no longer playing around, recognizing Saturn as the most dangerous threat. Luffy needed to deal with Kizaru quickly to face Saturn. Frankie yelled, "We're counting on you!" Luffy used Gear 5, flexing his arm like when he gripped Kaido. Kizaru expressed surprise. "Weren't you at your limit?" Kizaru fired a laser. Luffy unleashed a Gomu Gomu no White Star Gun, combining Gear 5, Advanced Armament Haki, Advanced Conqueror's Haki. The incredibly powerful punch deformed Kizaru's head similarly to Kaido's, but seemingly with much greater force. Luffy's arm was heavily flexed. Kizaru was sent flying, crashing through a building. Analysis: this is almost certainly the finishing blow from Luffy. Kizaru is completely defeated, unconscious, unlikely to recover quickly as he is not a Zoan user. Luffy became exhausted, reverting to his old man form and falling. Saturn watched Luffy fall and said, "Nika!" This further reinforces Saturn's ancient existence. Saturn confronts the Vegapunk group and Bonnie attacks. The Vega tank crashed down in front of Saturn. Saturn faced Bonnie, Sanji, Vegapunk, and Frankie. Saturn glared at Vegapunk with killing intent. Still stubbornly clinging to life, are you? Bonnie recalled a past memory, possibly Kuma's or told by Vegapunk. Saturn ordering Vegapunk to completely erase Kuma's personality, ensure not a single trace remains. This wording mirrors how Imu spoke of Queen Lily, indicating deep-seated malice. Bonnie realized Saturn was the mastermind behind her father's fate. Enraged, she leapt forward and stabbed Saturn in the chest with a sword, drawing blood. Analysis: Saturn is wounded, but likely not significantly. Bonnie and the others are in greater danger. Current situation: Luffy is exhausted. Zoro is fighting. Lucci, Jinbei is moving things. Only Sanji remains as the strongest nearby combatant capable of stalling Saturn. There's a science element. Saturn is the warrior god of science and defense. Sanji wields Germa technology. The goal is to buy time for Luffy to recover. One Piece 1128 is a critically important chapter. For the first time, the true power of a five-elder Saint Saturn is revealed. Awakened mythical zone form, Ushioni, terrifying abilities, exploding heads with a look, Conqueror's Haki, our age exceeding 800 years, absolute authority. Luffy defeated Admiral Kizaru with an extremely powerful blow combining Gear 5 and Advanced Haki, but became exhausted afterward. Bonnie attacked Saturn after learning the truth about Kuma, creating a perilous situation and foreshadowing Kuma's likely intervention, sets the stage for subsequent battles. Sanji potentially confronting Saturn, other tense developments across Egghead Island.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.